All right, everybody. So today we are going to be starting our second day in Pixlr. If you spent a ton of time in it yesterday, you might be a little bit further. If you had a really hard day in Pixlr and you just didn't understand it, that's okay. You can take this at a slower pace. This project won't be due right away. I'm not going to force you to just push something out that you don't really like. So don't worry, like communicate with me. Remember, communication is key. Today at the end of this class, like after this video, you're going to have an opportunity to say, like, in the comments, how did it go for you? Is there more that you need to know? Is there something you're missing? Is there a devastating problem that's keeping you from moving ahead? What is it that is holding you back? I want you to make a comment in the comments below about what you need yet and how you're doing, as well as when you think this project is due. That's the most important thing. Ask questions, but also tell me when you feel like you can have this be done, and we'll kind of take the average date and we'll try and make that possible. So I think I said possibly Wednesday, but as I'm looking at all the work I'm kind of doing with this one on my own, I would say maybe Thursday instead. So I don't want to rush you through this first project, especially the first experience you have in an editor is very um, important for your future in the program. So let's look at the actual recommendations and requirements of the assignment. So on your Google Classroom, this assignment popped up today. I don't have it due yet. I will put in the due date as soon as we have decided on it. So don't worry about due dates yet. And that's how I do most of my assignments. I usually don't put in a due date until I've seen how you're all taking to understanding the assignments, because some assignments I think are really easy but are really challenging, and others are really, really like easy, and I thought they would be more challenging. So just kind of keep that in mind. So onto this project. So the first thing you need to do is I want you to have at least 4 pictures placed in this project. So that could be your background, that could be your own personal picture, that could be the other one. So right down here it says must have a picture of yourself. That is in one of those pictures. So you don't need 5 pictures including yourself. You only need 4 including your self-portrait. So 4 pictures placed in the project. There must be a background. That background can be one of those 4 pictures, or it could be just a paint, like a paint bucket drop. It must show that you know how to make and select shapes, make a selected shape. So for instance, when I showed you in here, this is a selected shape. So you have to show me that you know how to make one of those. So by making a shape, or remember how I showed you how you can select an area and then just edit that piece using adjustments. That is also considered an edited shape. So you can do that, or you can just paint dump. So that's the 2 ways that you can show that. You must edit and adjust one of the layers in adjustments. So for instance, remember how I showed you how to change the colors? This was a different color. That's just choosing one of those layers. We're going to talk about another way you can adjust one of those layers in the second tutorial today. So just kind of keep that in mind if you didn't like any of the adjustment categories. Must cut out your picture to make a clean collage. So I don't want to see you cutting out the edges with like a square. I don't want you to use the selector tool and just make like chunks like this. I want to see it look clean. I want to have it look believable. So really try your best to make really clean, nice cuts with it so it really does look like a nice collage. Must show effort. So I don't want to just see them piled on each other and no effort shown. I want it to look like you actually tried to show me something with this. Must tell a story about yourself. So this one, I actually have had to do some reflecting on my own when I looked at my picture today. I've noticed there's not enough in here that tells you about me. It's stuff I like to look at, but it's nothing about myself. The purpose of it is getting lost. And this is a challenge you're going to see through all of your assignments, is sometimes the style over substance takes over. And so you want to find that balance. So we're going to reflect on how to center yourself again so that you are part of the narrative. And then must be downloaded as a JPEG, and do not link the project. So a lot of times people, what they'll end up doing is just taking a link of their pixlr and putting it in, I can't see that. So I'm going to show you today how to export it properly and put it into the Google Classroom. Must have a picture of yourself, and we talked about that before. So that is the requirements of this assignment. So let's get into a few more tips and tricks of the photo editor that will help you on your way. So as I was going, like I said, I realized like there's things in here about me, but none of it really tells you like anything good about me. Like it doesn't say anything about what my personality's like or things I enjoy. Like smoke doesn't tell anything about me, or an ink blop or whatever that is. The daisies tell a little bit about me. But the other thing is like colors aren't like the colors match, but it kind of is disjointed. Like this one's very photorealistic, where these are a little bit more chiseled. So you can actually start adding stuff, and then as you go, you realize you hate what you added and just get rid of it. You do not have to marry anything that you put in here. So I'm going to actually show you a few things that I found. And so the first thing I found was I wanted to put something to have to do with paint because I really love painting. So yes, the ink drop can kind of look like paint, but I really like this paint instead. And I'm going to cover up my face with it. So I'm going to show you just how it can look if you wanted to do something where you're covering up your face. Now over here, there's this really big blank spot. So I want to do something over here with this at some point. But I like the textures that are happening here, but this is too like blank. That I don't like that this is just a too clean in comparison to all these other photos. So we're going to be showing you how to kind of make a texture in the background if you wanted it to have more of a unified picture. And unity is a big piece of art. So if I look through some of the other things I found, I went online and I found some cameras. And so I added this one in and I put it to the side. And then I found another one and I found this flower and I put it to the side. But as you can see, I'm starting to move away from the photos and I'm getting more and more pictures of watercolor and painting things. So these flowers right here, they might not fit in any more, period. So I might actually be deleting them unless I can find a way of actually making them match. But another little cheater thing that you can do, as you can see, all these are really cleanly cut out. That's because I found them that way. And so I'm going to show you how to find images that are already cut out for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to type into Google and you're going to put in whatever object you're looking for. That might be rainbow, it could be glitter, it could be flowers, it could be paint, it could be splatters, it could be ink drops, it could be smoke. I'm just whatever you want, but then you're going to put PNG underneath it. And what that does is a lot of times it'll open up for more transparency. So let's say I want this one. Notice how when I click on it, it was white before, and when I click on it, it gets this checkered background. And that means that this is a transparent background. And when I drag it around, you can see, do you notice how that checker is gone? So if I place this in my image, it's going to be a see-through image. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to drag it in, add it, and you're going to see now I have this new see-through image that I can put somewhere. Now I don't like this one. I don't think it fits in with the rest of the funky business I did in here. So let's find something else. So here's another one. This one is one that I chose before, but here's another, like this one I call a false PNG. Notice how the checkers are visible on the thumbnail, and then when it's big, you can also see the checkers. That means that it's not actually a PNG and it's not transparent. If you see it look like this, where you drag it around and you can see the transparency still, that checkerboard, that means that it's not actually a transparency. Same with this one. It's white. It's not a transparency. So I'm going to go see if I can find something to put around the edge, or I'm going to find an effect to put into my background because I want to change that texture. So right now I clicked in texture PNG, and so I'm trying to find myself something to kind of create a little bit more like a dirtier look on my background here. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hope it comes in. I'm going to drag it, add to the current, and it's thinking. All right, so now it's over everything. I want to drag this down to just above just above it. Now, if you're having trouble, by the way, with like how small some areas are, you can actually make your stuff bigger. You don't actually need to see your history. So here, I can go like this now. All right. Now, as you can see, it's right over top of it. Now, this looks fine, but it still isn't quite right. So I'm going to show you, remember how I talked about there's another type of adjustment layer you can do? We're going to do that right now. So I'm going to click on this, right click on that layer, and I'm going to go to blending mode, and I'm going to change my blending mode. I'm going to go to lighten. Notice how this almost gets rid of it completely. That's not quite what I want, but look at how this now changes it to kind of a gray. This changes it, not enough. Soft light. Ooh, I like how that kind of changes it, blends in with the color a little bit better. So you can create a texture that will then be a little bit more forgiving, and it kind of creates a little bit more of a change. So what I will probably look for, what I would want to find is more like a paint, like it makes the whole thing look like watercolor. So I could find like watercolor texture or something. So that is another trick you can use to create a little bit more unity. See, I have a little bit more of this paint watercolor style. If I wanted to put this flower underneath it, it might make it look like it blended in a little better, but I'm not convinced it will. This is part of the editing process. It is a give and a take. You try out something, it doesn't work, you go back and you get rid of it. And that's the beauty of Photoshop. It is painting a painting where the ink never dries. You can go back after you turned this in, you could completely change everything about it still. So I want you to keep playing with it, and I want you to center yourself. All right, does it show me something about you? Right now I've got my paint swipe because I really love painting. I've got photography because I really love photography. I have these colors that I like in the background. I have my favorite flower in the background. I still am missing something up here. I want to make sure that I keep that balance between the substance of the picture and the style of the picture. Right now, it has a lot happening in this bottom corner and it's not balanced. My eye is just too heavy on the bottom corner. What can I do to make something better up here? And I want you to ask yourself that. Not only are you experiencing this Photoshop, this pixlr for the first time as a designer that has to learn how to use these tools, but you're also learning this as a designer who has to focus their understanding of balance and unity. So ask yourself, do I have blank spaces? Do I have a blank white space? Does my picture not fit in? Is something not matching? All right, so I'm going to now show you a few other tricks. So let's say you are going along and you're like, do you know what? Nothing I do is going to fix it. I just want to hone in more to this, to my face. What you can do, and this is like the last thing I want you to do, is you can actually crop your image down like that so that it's filling the space more. That's one way you can kind of get around uh, having blank space, but I wouldn't suggest that being your first solution because that's going to make your picture physically smaller, so it's not going to be as nice. All right, so here are a couple other tricks in here that I wanted to show. This one is a sponge color, so you can go in here and you can kind of, oopsies, I'm not on the right layer to actually show what that does. There we go. So you can actually kind of like brighten some areas. This is often used on eyes to make your eyes pop when you're doing photography. So here, if I go to my eyes and I do it, look at how it's a very subtle difference, but it kind of makes your eyes glow a little bit more. So that's a fun tool. In filters, I'm going to go to my face. In filters, you can go in here and you can create like a glow like that. That's not a look I would like, so I'm not going to do it, but there's all sorts of different filters. Try out some of these. I'm going to go to my flowers here, and I'm going to go to pixelate. You can actually kind of create kind of a funky pixelating look too. You can put in text by just tapping on it and trying out those. So I have now hit my 15-minute limit. I do not want to overwhelm you with too much time. So we've talked about the assignment, we've talked about a few more tools, we've talked about PNGs, and remembering to keep yourself in the center of your project. I'm going to not yak your ear off anymore today, and I'm going to let you go. I would like you to try out these ones and keep deleting and keep adding on more things till you find exactly what you want your image to look like. I'll talk to you again tomorrow and with another tutorial. Have fun and keep exploring. Bye, everybody.